Welcome back, rankers. Well, there's still a lot of interest out there in Google Penguin 2.0, and the reason that I know that is because of this massive spike in our traffic right here was when we started talking about it. And if I just go and have a look to find out what this massive spike of traffic was, and this is Google Webmaster Tools, okay? So I'm in traffic search queries. Now, the blue line represents actual search impressions, not clicks. So remember, unless you've got this hooked up into your Google Analytics, you're not going to see this information in Google Analytics. And this is the stuff where you can find some gems that you might want to rank for. So, for instance, if we isolate that spike with the graph here, and we go from the 28th of August until the 1st of September, and you can see here that if we then sort by clicks, we can see here Google Penguin 2.0 is a big phrase for us. That got 200 impressions, but we only got 22 clicks. Now, that's an 11% click-through rate, which you'd be happy with AdWords. But have a look at where we're ranking for it. We're ranking on average around 6 globally. So you're further down the page. So when you go and have a look at these sorts of things, if you think that's something worth ranking for and you want what you want to get traffic for, you should look here and go, okay, let's get this higher up in the rankings and we'll get more clicks. But then what Google Webmaster Tools will show you, and you can see all these ones here we didn't get clicks on, but look at all the different variations, look at all the variations of that phrase. Penguin Update, Penguin 2.0, Google. Now people often say to me, oh, but you know, if I'm ranking for penguins, won't I also rank for penguin? Well, yes, you may, except if someone's going harder at the word penguin than you're going at the word plural. So all of these things, there's no hard and fast rules, except that if the competition is doing it better than you for a given phrase or a given word, then they're going to rank higher than you. So, for instance, for this Penguin 2.0 Google, we won't have that anywhere on the site. We're ranking for it, but we're ranking at 6.5 and we're getting no clicks on it. And when you have a look at the impressions for it, there's only 70. Okay, so I'm probably not going to chase that phrase. But then you look at some of the longer phrases and people are Googling what Matt Cutts was saying to find out more information because there's a bit of buzz going on around the search engine community, search engine optimization community. So you've got new Penguin Update, Google jarring and jolting, which is certainly in our article, and we're ranking 2.3, 35 search impressions, but no clicks. And that's probably because, and I haven't gone and had a look at this, but maybe the description tag isn't compelling enough for users to click on that. So if I really wanted traffic from that phrase, that's what I would have to go and do. I would have to go and rank for it better and also have a compelling description tag to get people to click through for it. So, and you can see that spike right there, and there's a whole variety of them. Penguin Update, Penguin, Google Penguin. Google Penguin probably don't rank very well for, see, 17. And interestingly, though, it's only had 110 impressions. So Google Penguin 2.0 has had nearly twice the impressions of Google Penguin. Interesting stats. I thought you'd be interested in those. Anyway, on with what we're going to talk about this week, which is again in Google Webmaster Tools, but specifically targeting specific countries. And this email comes from Stephen. Hi Jim, I have a question. I have a business site targeting Australia and a separate one for the New Zealand market. Most of the, or I should say New Zealand market. Most of the content is similar but customized a little specific for each in eyes of Google. Good SEO practice is better to have as much content, text unique between sites, right? Okay, so the question is about, I'm targeting 2 different countries. I've got one site. How do I do that, essentially, without copying the dreaded duplicate content penalty? Well, there is no such thing, as it happens, and Google has said that on more than one occasion. So you're not going to be penalised necessarily for having duplicate content. You're just not going to rank as well because Google thinks your site's a bit noisy and it doesn't know which page, if it's within the same site, to rank. And that's why it came up with the canonical tag. So you can say, look, this is just a different version of the original page, which is over here at this address. Okay, and that's what Google looks for. It looks for a neat house so it can send its users to it and knows which page to rank. So there's a couple of different ways you can target countries or regions, I should say, and it depends on a couple of different things on what you're wanting to achieve. Some sites will have different languages and they'll have different regions. Some sites will have the same language, like English, and you might want to target Ireland, New Zealand, UK, US, but you don't want to go and build another site to do that. So one way you can do it, and one of the old ways that people used to do it, and some of the large corporate sites used to do it, was they would have a subdomain. So they would have, say, au.sample.com or IE or nz.sample.com, and then they would have built an entirely different site just for those people. There's a couple of better ways to do it now, and it's all about using Google Webmaster Tools. If you're targeting different countries or different regions and different languages, one of the things you can do with Google Webmaster Tools, which a lot of people don't realize, is that you can set up a sitemap for a subdirectory. I'll say that again. You can set up a sitemap for a subdirectory, and you can set up a whole Google Webmaster Tools profile for a subdirectory targeted to a specific country. Now, I would only do that if the content within that subdirectory, let's say /DE, is in a different language, and then you would have a sitemap that showed Google where the content was that was relevant to that country. And then what you can do is that you can go into your configuration area for that new sitemap that you've set up. You go into settings, and you see here, then we're a top-level domain name. We're a .biz essentially. We have a .com.au as well, but essentially we're a .biz. So we've said, look, target users in Australia. Now, you can only do that if you've got a top-level domain name. So if, for instance, we wanted to target users just in the US, then we could change that. Now, where you can run into trouble is that if you've got a .com, if you've got a top-level domain name, but you only want to use one site, and you want to go and target users in different countries, then what you can do is set up a whole new domain name, but the same site. And Google lets you do this. In fact, they encourage you to do this. And one of the resources that they have out there is called the multi-regional and multi-language sites. Okay, go and Google that. You'll find this page: multi-regional and multi-language sites. And it goes through a step-by-step of what you can do to target other countries. Now, for instance, if you've got a .com and you want to use that to target just the US, do that, set it up in Google Webmaster Tools. If you've got a .au and you want to target users in Australia, which is the recommended way that you would do it, is that you would have both domains pointing at the same website. You're not going to cop a duplicate content issue if you set it up separately in Google Webmaster Tools. And that's what Google is encouraging you to do here. So Google will know immediately if you've got a .au that it's for Australian users. If you've got a .com.au or any other top-level domain, you actually have to specify exactly, well, you don't have to, but if you want to target a specific country, you have to specify that. Google won't know off the bat exactly who you're trying to target. Now, a word of caution if you're going to go and do this, if you've got a WordPress site or anything else, just make sure that your web developer is using relative URLs and not absolute URLs. So a relative URL would be /graphics, an absolute URL would be www.mysite.com/graphics. Okay? The reason that's important throughout the site is that if you've set up these two domains and you've got absolute URLs throughout the site, then you're going to have a world of hurt, a world of pain, because there's going to be two domains pointing at one site, but then you're going to have this absolute URL throughout one of the sites, and the other site is essentially something the front page that is part of that domain. So, and this occurred probably 5 years ago. All the major search engines back then, when we had major search engines as opposed to just one, all said, look, we're pretty good at working out, the difference between a .nz and a .au. So if it was me and I wanted to target both New Zealand and Australia, so we're talking essentially the same language, except the way that we use it, I would have a .nz and a .au set them up separately. Try saying that this time of day. And in Webmaster Tools, and tell Google about it by setting those sitemaps up as well in the Google Webmaster Tools profile. So if you're multi-language and you've only got one domain, then do it with your subdirectories. You can do that, and you can set up the separate sitemaps. If you want to target specific countries and they've all got the same language, then the easiest way to do that is use the country code. I wouldn't recommend necessarily using .us or even .eu. I would go with the specific country domain, or .asia for that matter. I would then make sure that you're indexed with your sitemaps in both of those or all of those countries that you're targeting, and you just go into the google.co.uk or .co.nz or .com.ie, and you do a site index check for the domain that you've set up, okay, if it's a separate domain. And you see what Google's index, and also, of course, always keep an eye on your sitemaps to see what Google is indexing. And a really, really helpful tool that's out there now that you can use across all of your sites in Google Webmaster Tools, and it's been out there for a couple of weeks now, and we've been playing with it a lot, and it's great. I love it. It's under Health, and it's called Index Status. So you can see here, this is our site, and it says, look, we've indexed a total of 670 URLs for all time since we've known about your site, and that's the data that we have. But what's really nice to see is the advanced section, where you can see is, and these 2,500, we're actually not selecting those. And then you can see here, there's a bunch that we blocked in robots.txt. So these will be either canonicalized URLs, or they'll be URLs that it's gone to that we've said, hey, which we haven't blocked necessarily in robots.txt, but we may have set up parameters to say to Google, don't go and crawl URLs with these parameters, because they might be the same URL and there might be a comment tag or something like that. So if you see a graph, one graph go like this and one graph go like that under advanced, there's been a change somewhere and you need to go and find out what's happened, especially if the total index URLs has dropped dramatically and you didn't want it to. Hopefully that's helpful, and we'll see you all next week. Thanks very much. Bye.